Hey guys, I have a few minutes, so I wanted to get out a thought that's been on my mind for such a long time. In March, when COVID started to really become aware on everyone's mind, we all became aware of it. There were a lot of instructions about, gloves and masks and social distancing, disinfecting, wash your hands, wiping things down with alcohol. There were a series of directives or guidance on how to best navigate this challenge. And so we would go grocery shopping. That was the only thing we did. We really didn't leave the house except for that. And I remember at the time thinking that there is really no rhyme or reason. There's almost no way to actually protect yourself. And not to sound doom and gloom, because I'm the opposite of that. I actually think we have nothing to worry about, and that we, the average, normal, healthy person without a compromised immune system or someone who's at risk, I think just the regular average person without medical complications has really very little to worry about. They just need to be smart and safe. So at the time, I remember thinking that the masks and the gloves were really not adding much. I don't want to say totally useless, but if I was a little more bold and not afraid of negative feedback, I would say that. They really do feel close to totally useless. Because, and follow me here, you have gloves on. Everything you touch has now touched your glove. Your glove is now acting like a second skin. So in effect, it's acting just like your hand. So now with a glove on, you touch your car door to open the car door when you come back from the grocery store. Or perhaps you take the glove off to then touch your car door. Now, anything that you've touched with that glove while you're in the store is now on your glove. So anything that you've touched of your own things, your purse, your phone, your car keys, just your jacket, your button, your scarf, anything that's come in contact with that, it really is the same as if you'd used your hand and touched all the things in the grocery store, and then touched your jacket, your car, your keys, your phone, etc. So the only thing that the glove may prevent you from needing to do is if you take the glove off before you touch your car door, you get into your car and nothing in your car inside it has come in contact with the grocery store, then for that period of time you're safe. So technically you don't have to wash your hands, really, and that's a silly thing to follow, because when you get home, for sure you want to wash your hands anyway, just as a precaution, because you've been outside. So now let's just say that you've taken your gloves off before you touch your car door. Assuming your car door, car handle was clean. You're now inside your car, and your car has not touched anything in the store. However, your jacket, your clothes, your scarf, everything else has. So then you get home with clean hands. Do you put the gloves back on to now touch the groceries and everything that's been in the store? So if you follow me, it's like nonsense. It's no matter what you do, unless you don't leave the house, you are coming in contact with all of these things the gloves or the mask are supposed to protect you from. So now, if the mask is supposed to protect you from just air, because people think you can catch it in the air, and you can catch it in water vapor, which means water droplets suspended in air, but that does mean it needs to be wet, meaning someone sneezes on you and there's literally moisture, mucus, like when someone sneezes on you and you have to wipe because you got wet. That is what it can transmit it, not just dry air. However, if you think just air can catch it, whatever is covered by the mask, let's say it's half your face, right? Your nose and your mouth.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Parkside Avenue.
That's not covering your clothing, your jacket, your hands, your gloves, your sleeves, all of that. Or the outside of your mask. So when you come home, you take the mask off. So that mask has, on the outside, been exposed. but so is everything else you've been wearing.
Turn right onto Parkside
So
Avenue.
I find it very hard to make a cohesive scientific argument for masks. Unless you cover your entire body in plastic wrap, right? Like those entire suits that people are wearing in certain like hazardous conditions or specific situations. So we're not wearing those suits, most people, right? You go out of your house and whatever you're wearing, you put the mask on. And then you come home. Maybe some people, I'm sure there are some people out there, and it's hard for me not to be judgmental about this, but there are probably some people who come home and take off everything they were wearing and wash it and change. Maybe they shower also. But then, the majority of us are not taking off all of our clothes and showering. So now the question becomes, what about your hair? What about your face? What about your forehead? What about the back of your neck, the front of your neck, whatever? It's a very, it's an almost impossible equation to solve. Like, how do you actually protect yourself from the outside? There's almost no way. So now, the last thing I want to say, as far as like to maybe further illustrate this point, or just as an experiment, if someone wants to be really proactive and pretty creative, is that you can model this conundrum or this dilemma by putting colored paint or powder on your hands, right? So, or on the outside of your gloves. So if you were to cover your hands in some kind of colored paint, oil, something, then you can trace everything you've touched. So meaning you go to your car keys, your phone, your clothes, your glasses, my earmuffs, it's cold right now in New York. Everything you touch in the store, like you would see a trail of whatever color you pick. Let's say it's blue or purple. You would see markings of that. And assuming you have enough, that's not going to rub off with each thing you touch. So that's the way to trace what you've touched. And your presence, I don't want to say germs, but whatever you may have being put onto other things. That's like a transmission from you outward. If you wanted to conduct that experiment with things coming to you, meaning potential germs or contamination coming inward, everything out there would need to be covered with some
Continue
sort
on
of
Parkside Avenue for
colored
half a mile.
powder or paint or oil, and whatever color that is, meaning you go to the store, let's say everything's layered in some kind of powder, everything you touch would now be, let's say, purple. And so, meaning anything you've touched, I want to correct that, I misspoke, anything you touch will now turn your hands purple. And I think you'll notice, like, instantly your hands are going to turn purple as this minute you touch a product, anything, a carton of milk, etc. And so that's now on your hands. And now, unless you are meticulous, and I mean like completely insanely careful not to touch anything, that purple powder is now going to be on other things of yours, perhaps your keys, your phone, your purse, your coat, your scarf, etc. I don't need to list the same things over and over, but essentially I hope I've illustrated the point well enough to make it clear that there is no way that you can effectively mask yourself or glove yourself in a way that's going to really prevent everything. And I know that plenty of people have had this conversation or had like this train of thought and tried to figure out the best way to do it, and they said, well, at least it gives you some protection, at least it gives you a little bit of extra layer or barrier between you and any germs or virus that you're trying to avoid. So let's just say it gives you an extra like 5% or 10% or maybe even 50% if we want to be incredibly generous. It gives you 50% extra protection. I think that's very generous. I think that we need to weigh that against all of the detriments, all the detrimental effects. The fact that half your face is covered. We express ourselves with our hands and face. It's how we interact with the world. It's how we express, sometimes not even by words, but just by our facial expressions, by a smile, by, again, this is a conversation that's been going on for several months, but I really felt like I needed to put two and two together and really say that the positive aspects, if any, of gloves, masks rather, because now I think we've moved past gloves. I think we've realized how unuseful that is. I think the positive aspects of wearing a mask
In
do
1,000
not
feet,
outweigh
at the traffic circle, take the third exit onto
the
Fort
negative,
Hamilton Parkway, Ocean Parkway.
aspects. You know, the fact that you go out in society and you cannot see or understand what's going on other people's faces and their emotions. On top of that, like I have to wear sunglasses when I drive because it's sunny, and that means if I am now on the street with my sunglasses and a mask, you really can't see any of my face. I find that really problematic for a lot of reasons. Besides the fact that we want to be able to connect and communicate and express ourselves and feel human, I do think freedom of expression is a fundamental human right. I think that we should all read the U.S. Constitution to understand that our forefathers thought that was a very important element of our society and put that in the Constitution, our freedom to express ourselves, freedom of speech, etc., barring shouting fire in a crowded theater. What they call as hate speech, or fire, danger, and hate speech, right? There are certain things that you don't have the freedom to express because they really are, they cause more pain or injury to others. But in general, freedom of expression is a big deal, and I would like it to remain a big deal because I would like to remain in a as free as possible society. Obviously, no society is 100% free, but we've all kind of agreed on certain baseline, bare minimum rules, and that's part of our established constitution and our legal system. So anyway, so besides the fact that wearing the mask, I think it
exit the traffic circle onto Fort Hamilton Parkway.
I also think that the mask poses a danger of a different sort, meaning that you don't know if you're in danger. If somebody's angry, if somebody's plotting,
keep right to continue on Fort Hamilton Parkway.
Look for negative, what's the word?
Continue on Fort Hamilton Parkway for 1 mile.
I'm getting lost. Not to look for all the possible negative things that could happen, but I do think that there's a certain element that we feel safer when we have a complete access or ability to assess our environment. Meaning, if you are on a bus and somebody looks cuckoo, right? Like what they're doing, what they're saying, their facial expressions, if they're just really behaving in a very unusual and erratic manner, you might say, wow, I don't feel safe, I'm gonna get off this bus. Like that's creepy, or that, it's not, the risk isn't worth it. Like maybe he's totally fine, he's not dangerous, he's just like, can't control his bodily, expressions. However, maybe he's not fine and it's just not a risk I want to take. Like we're constantly making these analyses in our mind about like these evaluations, and they're so subtle and we don't even recognize they're happening, but they're happening constantly. Do we feel safe? Is this okay? Am I choosing to remain in this environment? And so when you can't see half or more than half of a person's face, you're completely at the mercy of the elements. You really have taken away from yourself the power, the ability to make decisions for yourself and to decide, is this safe? Do I feel good? And am I staying in this environment? And it doesn't have to be on a bus or public transportation. It could be in a store. It could be on the street. It can be with a neighbor. Really, again, I don't need to list all the possibilities, but there are many possibilities where you might find yourself in a position where, had you seen the person's entire face and their expression and their behavior, you might have said, wow, I don't feel great, I'm leaving, or I'm going to cross the street, I'm going to go do something else. So I really feel like, and these are just two really, I think, prominent examples, but really just two off a very long list. There's so many subtle things that we rely on that are hard to even know and enumerate. I haven't given it so much thought where I'm making a comprehensive list. But it's important to be able to see each other's faces. It's important to be able to show your face. It's important to feel like a active, contributing, valuable, and instrumental part of society. If I am on the street and I see a police officer abusing somebody, chas v'shalom, God forbid, I will say something. I will get involved, and I have. But when you're silenced, really, which is what the mask is doing, or you can't be heard and you can't be fully seen, it really limits that. It limits your ability to be an active participant in society, an actor in this world that we all, belong to together. So I leave you with that. I think that we need to be a little more vocal and tell our politicians that the masks are more detrimental than helpful, and that they should be optional for those who feel the need to wear them. And they should be optional for, obviously, people with compromised immune systems or other medical conditions, etc. So I hope you have a great day, and thanks for listening.